Hello, everybody. What's going on? Name is Joseph. I'm going to be your low budget host of the day, and today I've decided to talk about some energy issues that the entirety of the globe is starting to face. So, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. All right, so starting off, a French town is spending $6,000 on warm jackets for hundreds of kids as temperatures fall in classrooms amid energy crisis, report says. So this is reporting from Insider. Insider reports a town in France is investing $6,000 in jackets for hundreds of school children because the classroom temperature has plummeted amid the energy crisis. The mayor of Paris, a small town in the northwest of the country, discussed the plan on French radio station France Bleu. In the face of a potential energy shortage this winter, officials in Pierre have decided to turn down the heating in public buildings to 19 degrees Celsius or 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, for fun context, that is the exact temperature I usually keep my apartment set at, but that's just because I like being cold. I know for sure that that is too cold for a lot of more normal individuals, so including kids. So, anyways, let's continue. Gabriel Dabe told France Bleu. He added that 19 degrees was bearable, but if it becomes very cold, then fleece jackets would be useful for children in classrooms. Yes, they can't heat your homes in the winter. They are going to get much colder than 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Uh, so later in the article, the reason for all this, later in the article, it is mentioned in the past week, the natural gas pipelines were damaged, causing leaks and eruptions of methane plumes. The natural gas pipelines they're talking about were the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines. They were ruptured. Experts told Insider's John Haltwagner that the pipeline ruptures were likely to be the acts of Russian sabotage. Uh, that's a bold assumption, just throwing that out, given that that was one of Russia's bargaining chips. I still do not understand the logic behind them doing that. So I'm personally on the fence about that, but we'll let whatever they say go. The resulting energy crunch has forced governments, banks, and other businesses in Europe to cut power consumption ahead of winter by switching off lights and reducing water usage. Finland urged people to spend less time in saunas and showers, while Italians were encouraged to cook their pasta with the stove turned off to reduce energy bills. So naturally, Europe is going through a bit of a issue, but Europe is not the only ones that are facing issue right now. Fox Business reports energy experts sound alarm on Europe's energy crisis as clear and present warning for America. In a letter Tuesday, the coalition of six experts urged congressional Republican leaders, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to consider how green policies have contributed to the energy crisis in Europe. One of my weird theories I have about the Nord Stream thing, just to kind of throw that out, is I I suspect that it's probably sabotage done by uh by climate terrorists, by people who support green energy. No proof of that. It's just something I want to throw out there. But anyways, continuing. This is a quote from these experts. The actual environmental benefits of green energy are few and far between, if there are any at all. Yet its economic and national security impact is immeasurably negative, the experts wrote in the letter. Compromising American energy security for the sake of climate alarmism is more than a misstep. It's a catastrophic error. Just look at Europe. So, continuing down in the article, in recent months, European consumers and businesses have been hit with massive energy bills due to Russian invasion of Ukraine, which upended global oil and gas markets due to Russian producers' dominance and aggressive transition to green energy sources. Thank you for mentioning that one. One of the problems I have with a lot of news sources right now is they're solely blaming Russia, and that is not entirely the case. What is going on is that a lot of countries went to green energy without thinking through how they were going to transition smoothly. So, but anyway, amid the crisis, Europeans have forced to take drastic measures to conserve energy and keep bills low, while governments have imposed rationing rules and introduced relief programs. The letter noted that the crisis has forced manufacturing plants to close and will likely lead to major blackouts throughout the winter in Germany. Yes, and there's actually a video of German officials laughing at Donald Trump for warning them about this issue from several years ago. So I don't really feel sorry for the Germans on this one. Sorry, I really don't. Anyways, uh, where was I? Later in the article, the Fox Business writes, while energy analysts have warned that Europe may be turning to green sources of energy too quickly, European Union leaders have doubled down on the transition. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said in August that the traditional model for an electricity market is no longer fit for purpose. Okay, I I really do not get why these people are so obsessed with this. But anyway, continuing. Last year, the EU unveiled a framework for a massive overhaul of energy policies, including a plan to massively reduce carbon emissions by investing more in renewables, and limiting gas-powered vehicle purchases. The Biden administration has taken a similar approach, limiting fossil fuel production and pushing solar, wind, and electric vehicles. This, of course, is not new. Uh, Here on the Washington Examiner, on the same, or here on the, sorry, wrong article. Can't seem to find it. But basically, I had an article up earlier that was talking about how Biden is definitely still trying to push all these green energies. His administration's trying to do it. And what are the immediate effects of this? Well, this is from Fortune. Europe's deglobalization and surging nationalism have echoes of the 1930s. Now it's heading into a major energy crisis. So here's this next article. This is by Tristan Bove of Fortune. With high inflation, soaring energy prices, and slowing economic growth, many economists have drawn comparisons between today's Europe economy and that of the 1970s oil crisis. But while 1970s-style stagflation concerns loom large, another pivotal decade in the continent's history may help explain today's economic and political trends, the 1930s. The decade leading up to World War II is marked by a general climate of fear and anxiety in the West. Economic crisis and mass poverty broadened the appeal of populist right-wing parties, and lasting trauma from World War I, combined with the Great Depression, fueled isolationism and nationalist foreign policies. Today, after the pandemic and Ukraine war disrupted global supply chains, countries are turning away from globalization and looking inward once more. And European populism is having a moment in the sun, as citizens take their resentment over a rising cost of living and bleak economic outlook to the polls. This is one thing that's kind of worrying and echoes the 1930s, namely this widespread disenchantment with what liberal democracies can do. Christina Florea, a historian of Central and European history at Cornell University, told Fortune. Europe's largest democratic institutions have been able to hold firm, but harsher challenges lie ahead as mounting energy crisis on the horizon on the continent has sent prices soaring and discontent has already begun spilling out into the streets and sowing divisions between European nations. The things could be exacerbated this winter by what's happening in Europe. With prices going through the roof and fuel shortages, it will really put Europeans to the test, Florea said. What's coming in the following months will tell us how far we are willing to back up this vision of democracy. Now, I personally disagree with this historian, and I personally disagree with a lot of people on the issue of nationalism. I actually don't think nationalism is a bad thing. I think the idea that nationalism is a bad thing is a knee-jerk reaction to what was a bad form of nationalism in World War II. I will agree with that where the Germans and where the Italians went in World War II, and where even the Japanese, where they went in World War II, was a step too far. That being said, there's a reason why that stuff happened, and I like that this article is pointing out that Economic turmoil was what pushed Europeans to go to the right, as they accuse it. However, this is ignoring the fact that a lot of those a lot of those governments that this article is referencing, a lot of those past governments from the 1930s, they were socialistic. They were not right wing. A good portion of them were trying to support economic styles that are more socialistic in nature. So, what I'm trying to say is that accusing a country of being fascist is not should not be applied to solely right-wing individuals. Yes, right-wing individuals can be fascistic sometimes. However, fascism is more of a tool. It's not an actual. It's a tool and an ideology, not a governing system. Much like democracy, democracy is merely a tool. It's not a way to govern. And these people on the left who really want democracy to be the only way to govern really don't understand that democracy really just doesn't work. It really doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, the way that we think it's intended to work. And uh, like this article pointed out, a lot of what's going on in Europe was by design. Whether intentional or not is basically by design that all this is happening. But this gives you kind of a cool, kind of a snapshot of what's going on in across the pond, what's going on, what could potentially happen in the United States if we start going the exact same route that the Europeans are, which it looks like we are. One last little story before we wrap up. Daily on energy. OPEC production cut threatens Biden pre-midterm plans. So this is from yesterday. OPEC did announce that they are going to be cutting their production, likely, by more than 1 million barrels per day, as it seeks to prop up falling oil prices, threatening to deliver a major blow to the Biden administration, which has lobbied extensively for Saudi Arabia to up its output to help avert a major global energy crisis. Now, this comes, of course, in the wake of other issues, which is where the Biden administration right now has been accusing oil companies of price gouging, which of course is not true. Oil companies, at the end of the day, want to make their money too, and they can only lower prices artificially so much before they start just hemorrhaging money on pretty much everything. This will likely raise your gas prices. Obviously, us being tied to OPEC is, to me, a bit of a problem anyways, but Saudi Arabia also announced that they might be reducing their own oil production, which will definitely hurt our economy. At the end of the day, all I want to just show is a kind of a snapshot of what's going on right now with the energy and why gas prices are starting to climb back up again. I saw that it's $3.50 in some places where I live. It's starting to get hairy again. Winter's almost here, and I don't see any way for us to recover within the next couple of years. So what I want to tell everybody is remember who is in charge now, and do not blame the next administration for what they inherited from this current administration. That is what this current administration wants to do. They want to design all these problems will ultimately benefit them in the end, because they're relying on people blaming the next administration for all the issues that is happening. And I just want everybody to remember, it is not the fault of the people you elected, or it is not completely the fault of the people that will come into office next. It is the fault of people who are in charge at this moment, right now. Please remember how we got into this situation and do not make the same mistakes again. And hopefully everybody's wrong, that hopefully the world goes back to normal at some point. But I hate to say this, but I really do not think we're gonna come out of this peacefully. So I'll explain more later. I'll be making other videos. So thank you for watching this video. I know it went very long. It's just a really crazy topic. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Bye.